Hey, it's been about 9 weeks since my APR surgery, so I wanted to do a final, maybe final video, kind of giving you the epilogue to my APR surgery journey. I know when I started this, I saw somebody who had a video that was all optimistic about the outcome for his APR surgery, and then 6 months later, he had a much grimmer story. And I committed at that point that if I had a good outcome, I was going to make sure I shared it. So here I am. So here's where I am now. My wounds are all healed. The healing wasn't perfect. There's a small segment of my gluteal fold, also known as my butt crack, that's not even with the rest. And so the plastics guy called it a dimple. Always wanted a dimple, but not where it is. I guess the healing's complete, but I still have to keep it as clean as possible. He basically said something like, think about it like your navel, where you have to clean it. Um, but even with the wounds healed, it's still not the old butt that I'm familiar with. The gluteal fold is just shallower now, which means that some leg movements do cause some discomfort and tension. I talked about a wedgie in the previous episode, and I feel like I have a wedgie all the time, right? I know I'm going to have to stretch this out eventually and gain some of the old range of motion for my legs, but it does feel uncomfortable, and sometimes it's a little painful. Um, I no longer have any sitting restrictions, and I've even driven for a few hours. Sitting is a weird sensation. It doesn't really hurt, but since the flap has some missing nerves and some displaced nerves, it feels weird. It's really hard to describe. It goes away once you actually sit down, but the process of getting in the chair and sitting down is kind of an unusual one. I stopped sleeping on this air waffle cushion that they made me sleep on a little bit before the physician's assistant recommended. I felt like it was a little bit of a CYA for the surgeons, not knowing what kind of mattress I was sleeping on and how much time I was spending in bed. So, the air mattress burst a hole once or twice. This air waffle mattress, so I had to reorder it a couple of times. It gets in the way of your mobility and your comfort. But I'm really glad to be done with that and sleeping in a normal bed. I had weekly sessions with OT and PT who came to my home. OT was primarily concerned with teaching me how to bend and lift safely again without creating a hazard for anything like a hernia. The first session, I was working up a sweat, just partially bending over to pick up a basket with a 5-pound weight on it. My quads are really sore that night, but I've come quite far along. I think I can do that easily now. I can fully squat and get all the way down to the ground. Um, I've always been pretty cognizant of my body geometry and movement, so it's not new to me. But I think the one thing I've had to unlearn is that I think I used to hold my breath when straining during the lift, and it's really important that you exhale with your diaphragm to provide enough room in your abdomen so that your guts don't get squeezed out of your stoma. It takes some practice. I'm still not perfect, but I'm getting used to it. Um, the PT mainly worked to help unfreeze my shoulder. My left shoulder, I had had some nerve pain before the surgery, and I think because I was in bed so long and limiting my use of that shoulder, I developed a lot of flexibility issues that I'm still trying to unlock now. Um, I guess it's the kind of thing that happens in late middle age. All the things that work need to be maintained. And if you have some major surgery like this, you can't maintain these things. So it's kind of collateral damage from a surgery. Um, you might have things that you too have to fix after surgery that is unrelated to the cancer or the places that have been affected. So I'm pretty happy. I'm back to work. I work remotely. I'm walking a lot. I used to have a target of about 6,000 steps a day, and I'm just about there. I'm struck by how much strength and energy I lost during the surgery. I was doing some of these PT and OT exercises, which I think should have been really easy for me before the surgery, but afterwards I was really sore and tired. And there's still a ways to go to get back to my former self. Speaking of my former self, there are some sacrifices. Uh, I'll never quite be the same. I think the most sad thing that I'm most sad about is that the PA for the plastic surgeon said that I probably shouldn't be riding a bike, at least not in the next year or so, and not with a standard saddle. And that's a bummer. It's kind of ironic that my intended reward for getting through the radiation and chemo in the first phase of my treatment was getting a new e-mountain bike. And I don't think that's going to happen in the near term. It's also a kind of unusual now when I go to the gym and I realize how many of the seats on weight machines or other exercise equipment looks like a bike saddle that I shouldn't be sitting on. So I have to adapt to that as well. Oh well. So regarding the colostomy, I said when I started the series that I didn't plan to talk about that too much in detail. But since it's one of the things you have to get used to after the surgery, it's worth putting it into the context of the surgery. So overall, I think getting used to the colostomy is possibly the easiest thing in the aftermath of the surgery. There's a lot to learn, and there are a lot of new skills to perfect, and there's a huge variety of products to try, and you have to consider how you're going to put it into your routine. I think I've got a pretty good routine right now. We had a home nurse who also helped walk me through the process a couple times. So I think I still have to learn about how to deal with situations away from home and how to adapt to activities like swimming and taking a bath and traveling. But the technology is pretty simple and pretty amazing. I know I'll probably have something embarrassing happen to me regarding the colostomy someday, but it hasn't happened yet. So fingers crossed. Is it a hassle? Yes, totally. So far, I think I was trying to think about the biggest inconvenience I've ever run into regarding pooping in my life has been being in a public restroom and it doesn't have toilet paper in the stall I chose. And there are so many things that I have to anticipate now. And it is a hassle to always be on top of the supplies and find room to order them and figure out, do you have the right numbers of everything? And I'm also going to have to do a reassessment of my wardrobe. I think it's true that you're your own worst critic, but it does bother me that underneath my shirt, you can see the outline of my pouch. Some of my shorter shirts, the bottom of the bag will show through. I can't help but think that everybody sees it. I'm predisposed now to giving hugs, emphasizing my right side because I don't want them feeling my bag. I try not to obsess too much about it, but I fail. I think there are some solutions. Obviously, the sort of big baggy shirt thing that you see all of the colostomy literature has all of these people with huge sweatshirts on. I've also bought a pair of overalls, and I'm trying to think about whether that fits, although my friends now think I look like a farmer. Sports coats kind of fallen off the male style agenda, but I think they might be back for me. High-waisted pants, possibly suspenders. I don't know. There was one thing I was unprepared for. If you look at the internet and if you listen to your ostomy nurse, they talk about the ways that you can empty your pouch. For example, they say maybe you sit on the reverse way on the toilet, like cowboy style, and empty your bag into the toilet bowl that way. Or you sit down on the toilet seat in a conventional way, move yourself back and spread your legs. But all of those things, when you've gone through the surgery, when you have a sitting limitation and you have limited flexibility on your legs, they're not possible. So you have to improvise. My improvisation here was to obtain some of these triangular liter-sized plastic containers. I'll put a link in for something like them on Amazon. I fill them about halfway up with tap water and stand near the toilet and empty the bag into the water in the container, right? It takes some getting used to. You have to manipulate the bag with one hand while you're holding this sort of beaker thing against your body. Dropping is not an option. It's got to be a total mess. I do think that triangular shape rather than some sort of round container is important because you can kind of get it flat against your body for a place and maybe help squeeze the pouch out if that's necessary. Um, this worked really well, and it allowed me to do this without injuring myself. I started with a lot of help from my wife. Really helps to have some shelves to put all of your materials right near the toilet so that you don't have to move around. You can stay hovering over the toilet and your beaker. In a few days, I managed to get this to work all by myself without sitting. And then you can just, dump the stool into the toilet and proceed to clean everything up. I do think that one thing that's annoying is that there are a lot of YouTubers who talk about their colostomies as a drastic improvement to their lives. I think there are a lot of young people who have had colostomies due to things like IPS, which made their lives miserable for years. It made them paranoid about everything that they ate. It kept them tethered to their toilets. I'm really happy for them. But for cancer patients, I think the surgery is a lifestyle degradation. There's no two ways about it. If everything worked adequately with your rectum before surgery, this is a worse life. Full stop. Intellectually, I know this is the right thing to do, and it's trade-off to avoid a terrible death in the near term and hopefully buy me 20 more years. But I miss my rectum and my anus and my sphincter, and I think I'm going through some sort of mourning for them. And I think it's okay to feel that way, despite the dramatic optimism about the ostomate crowd, among the ostomate crowd in the internet. Thanks for listening. I hope this was really a useful thing to you, and I wish you best of luck.